Church, here to provide you with a sermon recap from this past Sunday, which was the Unsearchable Greatness of God. If you remember, we started out talking about the Milky Way and the galaxy and how big it is and how God is way bigger than all of that. And then I gave you this statement from A.W. Tozer's book, Knowledge of the Holy, from which I based a lot of my sermon. And it says, what comes into our minds when we think about God is the most important thing about us. You're going to ponder that question today as your icebreaker. But then we just went and we looked at Psalm 145, verses 1 through 3 as our inspiration, where it says, I will extol you, my God and King, and bless your name forever and ever. Every day I will bless you and praise your name forever and ever. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. Church, we need to think more about the greatness of God. We need to think about the unsearchable greatness of God, because the more we ponder and think about the unsearchable greatness of God, the bigger he gets and the smaller we get. And in today's culture and climate, where man is often big and God is often small, we need to put ourselves in the proper perspective of God being really big and us being really small. You're also going to look at a quote by Frederick Faber that said, only to sit and think of God, oh, what a joy it is to think the thought, to breathe the name, earth has no higher bliss. Faber was onto something here when he insinuates for us and states for us that there is nothing that we can think of that brings more joy to our soul, more peace to our soul, when we consider the unsearchable greatness of God. And so we covered topics this past week like God being self-existent, that God has no origin whatsoever. He has simply always existed. We covered that God is self-sufficient, that God needs absolutely nothing in order to exist. He does not need food. He does not need water. He does not need air. He needs absolutely nothing, and that includes you and me. Though he graciously includes us in his plans and his purpose, he does not need us in any way, shape, or form. We talked about God being eternal, that no matter how long this timeline exists, forever and ever and ever, God is outside of this time, but yet God is also intimately involved in every moment in time. But every moment to God is currently present. We talked about God being immutable, meaning that God does not change in any way, shape, or form. He does not get older. He does not get younger. He does not go from bad to worse or worse to bad. God is consistently always the same, because Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. We also said that God is omniscient, that God knows all things. He's never learned even a single fact, because he's always known it. We learn things all the time. Collectively, humanity is learning things all the time, and yet God has never learned anything, because he already knows every single thing. And that should amaze us, because that means he fully knows us. He fully knows what's in our hearts, and yet he still chooses to fully love us. And lastly, we talked about God's omnipotence. We said that God is all powerful. God sovereignly rules and reigns over the universe. And at the end of the day, we landed in Romans 8:28 that says God works all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. Church, God uses his power to work things for us. God knows us and loves us more than we can ever imagine. So take that, use it to discuss, and I pray that it does result in what Frederick Faber said, and that as you ponder